Hi, I'm Terry Fadum, and I'm a senior fellow here in the Mack Institute for Managing Innovation. My research is focused on asking questions. I ask questions about questions. The question I'm trying to answer at the moment is, what role do the questions we ask, we are the leaders, innovators, entrepreneurs, managers of enterprises, what influence do these questions have on our organizations, on our people, and on innovation? And that's how I started a number of years ago, and I looked at the individual manager. How do I help him or her do a better job asking questions? And we came out with this book. Since that time, I went back to begin to look at, do managers behave as a group differently, or are there some questions and some issues that managers as a rule have across all domains? And so I began looking at the aggregate effect of a question. So I look at errors, problems, as well as beneficial aspects of asking questions and the impact that has on organizations. So let me give you a really quick story. I go in a room, there's a CEO comes into the room, he describes an initiative that his business launched, had just launched, major initiative, and it wasn't going well, and he summarized the initiative quite well and the problems it had to his staff. Then he pounds his hand on the table and says, "We need answers," and he gets up and walks out of the room. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, I think we need questions. I don't think we need answers. Like, what question does he want answered? Who did it? Why was it done? When will it be fixed? You know, where was the problem? So one of the issues that I've contended with for many years is how managers are trained to ask questions and what they do with these questions when they get answers. So I began studying questions, just in the nature of A, is there are common mistakes being made, and B, are there certain things that we ought to be on the lookout for that questions do in the aggregate sense. So I give you a couple of examples. So in the original work I did, I looked at common errors that are found in asking questions managers and leaders. And what I've since discovered, so I identified habit questions as one of the key problems that people have when they get into management leadership positions. We, and I include myself in this, tend to go into a room and ask questions, but they're the same kind of versions of questions we've asked before because A, we've been successful, and B, they're our comfort level. So what I discovered was, and now statistically doing hundreds of surveys now for the past year, is that habit questions are the key problem, the key issue that most managers and leaders have in their organizations. On the statistical side, relative to which question is asked most often, it's the how question. How do I find more? How do I make this successful? How? And these things have a tremendous effect on an organization. In the macro sense, what I want to do is look across an industry and see, are we beginning to push research or innovation in a direction that we didn't anticipate? So by example, if all senior leaders are asking how do we get this done, how do we make this happen more quickly, they're delivering a message across an industry that actually will bias the behavior of their organizations. You realize that as questions are asked, a message is delivered. If you ask what products does this apply to, what can be done with this technology, you are delivering a message to everyone who is in earshot of that question. And the message there is, well, when you present something to me as a manager or leader, when I hear about the idea, tell me about the product, tell me about the innovation, tell me about the technology for the market of today. And many of the things that people are working on, many of the greatest ideas that people have, will be in the market tomorrow, and the year after, and the tomorrow after that. The other thing that I've noticed that could be corrected with better training, at least, of managers and leaders would be putting posturing in questions. Positioning themselves as authority figures or as decision makers when asking a question, which actually has a negative impact on the people around them. So these are the problems I've seen. On the beneficial side, the biggest question I find the most creative organizations, at least my data suggests, the most creative organizations ask the what if question. The best example of what if that has come up recently, which I've just found astounding, was found in one of the most stratified, hierarchical, and organization that you could possibly imagine that does what-if scenarios all the time. So the U.S. Army has a what-if scenario for just about every calamity that could happen in this country. And one of their what-if scenarios, which was literally in the news recently, is what if there was a zombie attack on the United States? This is absolutely true. It was just in the news, I want to say yesterday or the day before, and they actually have a document that they've developed that what if zombies attacked America? and how they would deal with it, what they would do about it. I just thought that was fascinating. So to me, the U.S. Army is a really good example of running what-if scenarios. This causes people to really think creatively and really think outside the box. If we can understand the aggregate effect of questions in an industry, and number two, we can see the direction, number three, then we can begin to anticipate the focus of innovations and begin to at least work at, let's say, the academic community on targeting the innovations of tomorrow, because that's where the biggest markets and the biggest benefit for mankind is going to be. The questions you ask point the direction, not the answers, and that to me is fascinating.